in my view, this path, the transhumanist agenda and path, is one of the most dangerous directions that we are taking bit by bit as humanity. And we are literally building our own prison now. Okay, this is Mike Sigula from TruthTheory.com and welcome to another video. So today we're going to talk about transhumanism. So let's start by defining what is transhumanism. So if you look online and you read an average definition, you will find something like this. Transhumanism, social and philosophical movement devoted to promoting the research and development of robust human enhancement technologies. Such technologies would augment or increase human sensory reception, emotive ability, or cognitive capacity, as well as radically improve human health and extend human lifespans. Such modifications resulting from the addition of biological or physical technologies would be more or less permanent and integrated into human body. Okay, so what they are talking about here is basically creating a technology, could be synthetic, hardware, or maybe biological, and adding it to your body so you can have additional abilities, right? Enhance your cognitive function, enhance your physical sensory perception, whatever it is, right? Essentially turning us into cyborgs, like in the movies, right? So an example, it could be something like bionic limb, maybe a microchip that gives you some abilities, connects your brain to computers, things like that, right? Now, it might sound like sci-fi, but we are very, very close to this next phase in our expansion as a civilization and when it gets to technology. So technology is growing exponentially. That means that all the future developments are just getting faster and faster and faster. That's why, we made such a big progress in the last few decades, and now it's going to get faster and faster. So a lot of people think that we are talking about maybe a decade, maybe 2 decades, probably max, when this will become a common thing. And there are many wealthy entrepreneurs, technocrats, and people of enormous power who are pushing this agenda as something beneficial and something that is inevitable, right? So something that's going to happen no matter what.
Do you think that it's likely that we will merge somehow or another with this sort of technology and it'll augment what we are now? Or do you think it will replace us?
Well, that's the scenario. The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best. Like
for us.
Yes. Like if you can't beat it, join it. That's
Yeah.
What a lot of these guys also tell us is that, the current technology, smartphones, laptops, computers, is not the final thing, right? This is still very slow. If you type, or even if you use speech recognition, it's still pretty slow, right? So what they want to see, or what they think is the next phase, next step, is when we have things implanted and we think and we access, for example, internet, languages, have additional memory, which is synthetic, which is a form of hardware. So this is what they say is the next step.
First of all, it will definitely happen. I was talking about 6G earlier, which is around 2030. I would say that by then definitely the smartphone as we know it today will not anymore be the usual kind of the most common interface.
Wow.
Many of these things will be built directly into our bodies.
They obviously promote it as something great, and it sounds nice, all right? We can watch movies directly into our mind or brain, or stream music directly to our brain, or just think and translate languages, have additional abilities. That sounds amazing, right? Is it really that great? That's the point I'm trying to make here. And one of the biggest proponents of these technologies is Mr. Elon Musk. So he is working on a device called Neuralink, which I've already covered in a couple of my previous videos. And this is the most advanced, or one of the most advanced microchips that is connected to your brain. And the idea initially is to, help with fixing health issues, and later on connecting us to the internet, AI, and have all these things we are talking about. So now, in my view, this path of technological enhancement of transhumanism is very, very dangerous. And this is the path that we have to be very careful to not go towards as a human race. And why is that? So, first of all, if you have a corporation that has access to everything you think, to everything you do, knows everything about you, gathers data on every little fart you have, every little scratch you do, whatever it is that you have, obviously can analyze your emotions, your thoughts, your behaviors. We already see this with Google, with big tech, how important data is for them, how they understand everything we do, so they can, sell us more advertising, predict our behaviors, things like that. Now, this type of technology takes it to a whole different level, right? We already have wearables like smartwatches and things like that measure your pulse, things like that, right? This type of technology basically is a perfect spying tool that can be misused. Of course, would you trust a corporation that has access to every single thought you had, every intention you've had, everything you do? That's one thing, right? Obviously, we know how these corporations operate. Once they get all the power, they're not the good guys anymore. They start abusing that power. We've seen that many times with big tech companies. So, would you trust a massive corporation to have a full control over you? It's not only that they know everything about you. Once this input is both ways, and you can get access to information, or you can, send information, they can decide what you're gonna see, what you won't see. Same what we see now with earlier versions of that with social media, for example, with Google. They decide what kind of information gets filtered, what is the truth according to them, what we are allowed to interact with and what we are not allowed to interact with, right? So the potential dangers of this technology are enormous on every level. Once you are connected to a network like internet through your brain, it can become hackable. Someone can hack it. The government can abuse it, like for example in China or whatever, right? The corporation behind it can abuse it as well, right? We become hackable beings. That's one thing, right? People will lose themselves in these artificial worlds. That's another thing. Think about what happens now with smartphones. Like, these corporations design their algorithms and their devices and their products so you spend as much time as possible on browsing mindless crap, basically. So now, if you're gonna interact with the fake world that gives you all the feelings and senses that the real world would give you, people are gonna get lost even more in these worlds. So we're gonna be spending more time in a fake reality and less time in a real world. People are gonna get addicted to these things, right? More and more and more. And because it's gonna get, 100 times more interactive. So this is the path that is unfolding, and this is one thing, right? Another thing that I hear very often from skeptics is that, you don't want to use it, just don't use it, right? Sounds very good, sounds very nice, but it doesn't really work this way. So think about the earlier version of this technology. Let's say is like your smartphone. Let's say this is like, the early version. Think about the world now without smartphone, without the internet, without computers, without Google. Go and get an office job. If you're gonna say, I'm not using Google, I'm not using smartphones, I'm not using laptops. Good luck with that. What happened is that we became so dependent on these technologies that people, average person, cannot function now in a society without accessing these technologies and without being able to use these technologies. So once you get people who have additional enhancements and abilities that make them superhuman and are becoming 100 times more productive than someone who is not using these technologies, who's gonna get a job? Who's gonna become a functioning human being, So you're gonna have a division between people who are like Neanderthals or some cavemen, whatever, and you're gonna have a normal population. So it will create an environment where people will be forced to have these technologies or stay behind, way behind, because you won't be able to function in a society. So this is why it's so dangerous. It's gonna force everyone to start relying on it. Another big major issue is what happens when 1-2 generations become dependable on some additional technology that helps them to function normally, right? What happens when you didn't have a calculator in your smartphone and you had to use your brain a little bit to calculate simple math, right? Now, once you have a calculator, why would I just use my brain if I can just type in and it's so much easier, right? Now, if we become dependable on technology like that to do basic stuff, what happens to next generations is that they probably won't be able to exist without it, because it will create most likely some kind of genetic inheritance, whatever. You might have a situation where next generation is born, and because their parents were relying on this tech, the next generation can't function properly without it. So this is another danger, and we basically gonna deviate from evolutionary path that is natural, that is organic, into a synthetic path where you're gonna have corporations or governments dictating which way you want to evolve and what you want to do. Another thing to think about. So in my view, this path, the transhumanist agenda and path, is one of the most dangerous directions that we are taking bit by bit as humanity. And we are literally building our own prison now, because these guys like Musk, they can only create their stuff because people like us buy their products or buy their shares and support them, make them billionaires, right? If you are not buying from Amazon, Jeff Bezos or whoever is in charge cannot be building these types of technologies, right? Think about it. This is just the byproduct of an ego and greed on an individual level. People just become lazy, right? They just want more and more and more. Now through that we support these massive corporations that now build a prison for us. And soon you're gonna have only algorithms running everything, and you know, governments deciding who is watching what and who is not watching what. So this is insanely dangerous direction, and this is being promoted as something that is good, useful, inevitable, but at the same time is gonna turn against us sooner or later. And really, we have so much potential that we can use a lot of extra abilities without need for technology, but this is a hidden knowledge, you know. This is the stuff that we are not hearing a lot about, and we have abilities where we can really get superhuman abilities without the need of using some kind of artificial synthetic enhancements. So if this video resonated, please let me know in the comments. What do you think about it? What do you think about this path of transhumanism? And please share it with others to warn others about it, because this is a dangerous territory that we are slowly getting into. So thank you for checking this video, and till next time.